Hi guys, let me see Urrego here. Okay, today we're graphing. We're graphing using the table of values. So my goal today is students will be able to graph linear equations using a table of values. Okay, I didn't change my toolbox. I should have changed that, but I didn't. Our work was using the slope, the formula, two set of points, and that's what we did in class. The idea is to graph using the slope intercept form. Okay, so let's get straight to that. I'm sorry. The idea is to graph using a table of values. Okay, so let me raise this, and here you go from there. Now, if you notice, I created a table of values on the right side. Okay, I have a table of values right here. Now, the x values are values that we assigned. Okay, so those are independent values. That's my independent variable. The x is my independent variable. The y is my dependent variable. Y is dependent because it depends on the values of x. So again, the y depends on the values of x. So when I said which one is my dependent variable and which one is my independent variable, my independent is the x. The dependent is your y. Okay, just a couple of terms right there. Make sure you have that. Make sure you take notes of that. Okay, so so we need to create that table of values. We have the values of x. For the most part, I like to use all those three values all the time. Okay, so the only thing that we have to do is just plug in. Basically, I'm going to rewrite my equation, which is negative 2x minus y equals negative 1, and I'm going to choose my first value. I'm going to bring the negative 2, x negative 2. So I'm going to write negative 2, and instead of the x, I'm going to use negative 2. Okay, I brought it from here. Okay, that's my first value. And then I erase the whole thing. Okay, so again, negative 2 instead of the x. I'm going to use the negative 2 from the table of values and keep going. And I'm going to rewrite everything else. Negative 2 times negative 2, write this, negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Bring down the negative y equals negative 1. I gotta leave the y by itself, so I gotta cancel the 4. Minus 4, minus 4. This 4 is canceled. You have negative y equals negative 4. I'm sorry, negative 1 minus 4 is negative 5. Now, some people make a mistake of saying, oh, okay, so my y is negative 5. But if you notice, I have a negative in front of the y. So you have a negative right there. The y cannot be negative. It has to be positive. So in order for me to get rid of that negative, I need to divide by a negative 1 on both sides. So in this case, the y is going to be equal to positive 5. So this value of 5 is going to go, let's see if we can do this. That value of 5 is going to go next to the negative 2. Okay, and that will give me my first order pair. Negative 2, comma 5. That's my first order pair. Make sure you write that down also. Okay, that's my first. Now, next, I'll do the same process, but instead of the negative 2, I'll be using the 0. Okay, that's next. I'm going to erase this, and then we move on. Now, my next value is 0. Okay, so I just rewrote negative 2x minus y equals negative 1. And now, I'm going to write negative 2. Instead of the x, I'm going to bring 0. Bring down negative y equals negative 1. Any value times 0 turns into 0. So I got to bring negative y equals negative 1. And as we noticed before, if my y is negative, I have to divide by negative 1, which is going to give me those two negatives, going to cancel, turns positive. Okay, so I'm going to have y on this side, and negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1. So in this case, my y equals 1, and that value has to go next to the 0, 1. That's going to give me an order pair, the next order pair, which is 0, comma 1. Alright, let's do the last one. My last value is 2. Same process. Rewrite my equation. negative 2 times x. Instead of the x, I'll write it replaced by 2 minus y equals negative 1. Okay, negative 2 times 2 is going to give me negative 4. Bring down the y, bring down the negative 1. I got to cancel that 4. So plus 4 on both sides. The left side cancels out. Negative y equals negative 1 plus 4 gives you negative 3. But here we go again. My y is negative. That means I have to divide by negative 1 on both sides. Negative divided by negative turns into positive on the left side. So I'm going to have the y equals 3 divided by negative 1 is negative 3. So I got to bring that number to my table of values, which is right there. Okay, and so I'm going to have 3 ordered pairs. So I'm going to have the first one is negative 2, 5. The second one is 0, 1. And the last one is 2, 3. So those ordered pairs, now I need to plot them. Plot is to locate them in the coordinate plane. So I'm going to bring the coordinate plane, bring those 3 points. We plot them, we draw a line, and we're done. So we have our 3 ordered pairs. Now let's plot them on the coordinate plane. Remember, this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. X-axis is the horizontal. This is the x-axis. The y-axis is the vertical. This is the y-axis, vertical. Okay? Just making sure. All right. So here we go. This is the y. All right, cool. So my first point is negative 2, 5. Remember, the first value belongs to the x. The second value belongs to the y. All these first values, x. All the second values belongs to the y. So that's how we graph. So negative 2, 5. Negative 2, 5. So I start here. I'm going to do it with mouse. I start the origin. Okay. Negative 2. Negative 1. Negative 2 on the x-axis. Negative 2. I stay there. Now we have the 5. We have the 5. So 5 is positive. So here we go again. Negative 2, negative 1, 2 to the left, 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And right there, I make my point. Okay, and that's my first point. Second point, 0, 1. I start the origin, 0. That's x. 0 is nothing, so I don't move. And then I have 1 in the y. 1 is positive, so I start the origin 0 and then 1 up. And that's my second point. Okay, the last point is 2, 3. I start the origin 2 as the x, so positive 2, 1, and 2. Hold on, I made a mistake. Negative 1, negative 2, 5, 0, 1, 2, 3. There's a mistake in here. Oh, wow, my God. Oh, there we go. It's negative 3. The last value is negative 3, not 3. Okay, excellent. I found out. You see, guys? We found out mistake. My mistake, by the way. So, the last value is negative 3, not positive 3. Okay. Negative 3. So, this is negative 3. Okay, here we go. I apologize for that, but, you know, we're all humans. Great. So, let's go back. First value is negative 2, 5. I'm going to go with the mouse. Negative 1, negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up there. Second value is 0, 1, 0 in x, 1 y. The third value is 2, negative 3, 1, 2 to the right, negative 3, 1, 2, 3 down. And right there is your third point. If you notice, we kind of get a straight line. That's how I find out that I had a mistake. So let me draw a line. Let's do purple and not really, that's really bad. So let's try it again. Better. Make sure you put arrows at the end, and that's our line. So that's the process of how to graph using a table of values. Just make sure that you use values that are small. That's why I use for the x values. That's why I use negative 2, 0, and 2. Okay, that's the reason. Okay, guys, take care.